Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Well, today we're going to be talking about something that could really shake up the world of AI, specifically LLMs.
Large language models.
Right.
Yeah.
The tech behind things like, chatbots
Mm.
and AI assistants, all that.
Definitely a hot topic.
It is. And for today's deep dive, we're taking a look at a brand new research paper all about this technique they're calling chain of draft.
This is interesting stuff. It's really taking inspiration from how we think.
Okay, so not just making AI more complex for the sake of it.
Exactly.
I like that. So what's the problem they're trying to solve here with this whole chain of draft idea?
We ever notice how sometimes AI can be a little dot wordy?
Oh, yeah.
Like they explain every
Uh,
single step.
oh, like some of those chatbots?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It takes forever to get to the point.
Ugh, tell me about it. Sometimes you just want the answer, not a whole novel, right?
Right. And all that extra thinking out loud, it uses a lot of computing power and time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where this chain of draft comes in.
Yeah.
Researchers figured out a way to prompt these LLMs to be way more concise.
So less rambling, more straight to the point.
Exactly. Think of it like using shorthand notes instead of writing a whole essay.
So it's like they're getting to the core idea without all the extra fluff.
Ooh, got it. And what's wild is they're actually finding that this doesn't just make the AI faster and more efficient.
Yeah.
It can even make it more accurate.
Wait, really? I would thought that more detail equals more accuracy. How does that even work?
It seems counterintuitive, right? But sometimes, even for us, focusing on too many details can, lead you down the wrong path.
Ah,
Chain to draft
yeah.
helps cut through the noise and get right to the problem.
That's fascinating. I'm sold on the concept, but how does it actually work? Can we break it down a bit, for our listeners?
Absolutely. The researchers use this really simple example in the paper that explains this perfectly. It involves lollipops.
Lollipops and AI. I'm all ears.
Okay, so imagine the question is, Jason had 20 lollipops. He gave some to Denny. Now Jason has 12. How many lollipops did he give away?
Simple math. Got it.
Okay. Now, with a basic prompt, an LLM might just spit out the answer, 8.
Just the result.
Yeah, no explanation. Which, for a simple problem like this, it's fine, but you don't really see the reasoning.
Right.
Now, if you tried the old chain of thought prompting, you'd get something like, first Jason had 20, then he had 12. So the difference between 20 and 12 is 8. Therefore, the answer is 8.
Okay. Yeah. A bit long-winded for a simple subtraction problem.
Right. But with chain of draft, the response is more like 20 minus x equals 12. Therefore, x equals 8.
Oh, wow. So it's like the AI is showing its work, but in a much more efficient way.
Exactly. And that's why it's so much faster and cheaper to run, not wasting resources on extra words. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's cute for simple math, but does this work for harder stuff? And the answer is yes. They tested it on all kinds of complex tasks.
Like what?
Well, like solving tougher math problems, understanding dates and times, even answering tricky trivia about sports, like things that even we might have trouble with.
No kidding. So how did it do, this chain of draft, compared to the old way?
The results were pretty awesome, actually. Not only did Chain of Draft do just as well, sometimes even better in terms of accuracy, it also used way fewer resources. Like imagine a chatbot that can answer you instantly instead of, going on and on.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That's the kind of efficiency we're talking about.
Okay, well, this is seriously cool stuff. But I do have one question. They tested this on certain LLM models, right? Would this work on just any AI out there?
That's a great question. Honestly, it's still early days, but the idea behind this chain of draft is pretty fundamental. So it's reasonable to think that it could be adapted for other models down the line.
So this could be a real turning point in AI then.
It has the potential,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the implications are pretty mind-blowing when you really think about it.
Yeah.
Imagine like having a conversation with an AI that feels, totally natural, like you're talking to a real person.
Yeah.
Or picture AI assistants
Mhm.
that can just like analyze tons of data in an instant, help you make big decisions.
Okay, so we're not just talking about speed here. This is a whole new level of what? Capability.
Exactly. And the thing is, researchers are already looking at ways to make chain of draft even better.
Oh, really? What else could they do?
Well, one idea is to combine it with other techniques to create like even faster, more creative problem solving. Almost like instead of just one line of thinking, the AI could explore multiple paths at the same time.
So, give it the ability to brainstorm. and come up with the best solution, but like way faster.
Exactly. Another possibility is to actually train these LLMs on concise reasoning data right from the start.
Oh, so not just applying this chain of draft after the fact,
Yeah.
but actually building it into how they learn.
Yeah, like teach them to think efficiently from day one.
That's interesting.
And if they can pull that off, well, it could lead to a whole new generation of AI that's just inherently faster and more efficient.
This is really making me think about the future of AI. Like, if we can make it this much more efficient, what other, like, breakthroughs are coming?
It's hard to say for sure, but it's an exciting time to be following all this. Who knows, maybe someday AI will be even smarter than us.
Okay, now you're getting a little sci-fi on me. As much as I love those advancements, I'm not quite ready for robot overlords. Not yet.
Uh-huh, yeah, fair enough. But I think it's safe to say that these advancements are, going to have a big impact on our lives.
Oh, for sure. And that's, why we love doing these deep dives,
Right,
to help people understand all this stuff.
definitely.
Okay, before we wrap things up, I want to make sure, our listeners are walking away with the key takeaways about chain of draft. What would you say, like, the most important things to remember are?
Well, the biggest thing is that, this technique is inspired by us, by human thinking. The idea that we don't always need to spell everything out to solve problems.
Right. Sometimes it's better to just get straight to the point.
Exactly. And by copying this aspect of how we think, chain of draft isn't just making AI faster, cheaper. It could actually be making it smarter.
That's a good point. So if AI can be more efficient by, like, mimicking us, does that mean we have something to learn from them?
Hmm. That's a good question. Makes you wonder if we sometimes, get too hung up on details, overcomplicate things.
I know I'm guilty of that sometimes. So maybe this chain of draft isn't just some AI trick. Maybe it's like a whole new way of thinking.
It is interesting to think about, yeah.
For sure. All right. Before we go down that rabbit hole, I have one last question for you. What was your biggest aha moment while you were reading this paper? Like, what really stood out?
That's a good question. I think what really hit me was, we can learn just as much from the AI we create as they can from us.
Mm.
By studying how they process information, how they solve problems, we can get a whole new understanding of what intelligence really is.
That's pretty profound. So it's not just about making smarter machines, it's about understanding intelligence itself.
Exactly. And that's what makes it all so fascinating. Always learning, always pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
I love that. Really emphasizes, the importance of staying curious, open to new ideas, especially when we're talking about something as fast-moving as AI.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a great deep dive. Lots to think about.
It really has. Okay, so as we wrap things up here, I want to leave our listeners with a little something to think about. We've talked about how chain of draft takes inspiration from human thinking, but what if we flip that around? If AI can get more done by doing less, is there something we can learn from them?
Hmm. That's a really interesting question. Like, are we as humans sometimes too focused on complexity?
Hmm.
Maybe we overthink things when a simpler approach might actually be better.
Yeah. Maybe this chain of draft research isn't just about, like, some fancy AI trick, but a whole new way of thinking that we could all benefit from.
Definitely something to consider.
Right. And that's what I love about these deep dives. They don't just, give you information, but they spark new ideas, help you see things from a different perspective.
I couldn't agree more.
So to all our listeners out there, if you're struggling with a tough problem or just feeling overwhelmed by, all the information out there, maybe take a page from Chain of Draft. Step back, look for the core idea, and see if a simpler approach could be the key.
Great advice. Sometimes the most effective solutions are also the simplest.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've given everyone plenty to think about for today. Until next time, keep those minds curious and stay open to all the amazing things that, well, technology and maybe even a little AI inspiration can bring.